Sky Police is one of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons. Yes, I said The Simpsons in general, not just Modern Simpsons. I love this thing. It could be that maybe I'm just a big ol' sucker for a good gambling story, but Sky Police brings so much more to the table than that. You come for the blackjack and marshmallow smorgaritas, but you stay for the deep character journey. Right from the get-go, it is clear that this is going to be a memorable one. Like, you know how a lot of Simpsons episodes open with some random opening set piece to kill some time until they decide what the episode's gonna be about? Well, Sky Police gives Chief Wiggum a jetpack. Amazing. 5 stars out of 5, no notes. They know this comedic premise is flawless. Hell, they decided to name the episode after it. They play this thing so perfectly. We get some initial Wiggum banter with Eddie and Lou, and then this delivery guy. They keep things light and breezy, going straight into Chief Wiggum singing his own Sky Police theme song to his action montage. It's entertaining, the song is catchy, and it keeps things moving. We get just a taste of Chief Wiggum jetpack adventures before it gets too ridiculous or stale. We're done. Time to crash the jetpack and move on to something more substantial. Thankfully, they left us wanting more and gave us another exciting installment of Sky Police in the closing credits. God, this is so charming. It's like the writers gave Chief Wiggum 4 minutes to make whatever TV show he wanted, and this is what he picked. His enthusiasm for the Sky Police format is infectious. This episode has always reminded me of She of Little Faith because of the inciting incidents. This one crashed a jetpack into the church, that one slammed a rocket into it. Actually, that episode also rules. Maybe crashing something into the church is the key to a great opener. Sky Police and She of Little Faith are like 2 spins on the same premise, 2 roads diverging in a yellow wood. Interestingly, the 2 sort of mirror each other in their approach. She of Little Faith brings commercialism and conflicted values into the church, pushing Lisa away on her own personal faith journey, while Sky Police sends Marge and other churchgoers outside their bubble where their faith is tested. This is easily the strongest aspect of Sky Police, taking these goody-goodies we know so well and thrusting them into a totally new environment. In what other episode do we get to pair up the Springfield church crowd with Apu? Homer the Heretic, perhaps? That brief team-up was just super. This story of a card-counting team is the perfect concept to get these characters together. I love the little bit of continuity built into Apu, that he has this collegiate background in computer science and math. We also get this extra bit of backstory for how he came to Springfield. So when he suggests the card-counting scheme to Marge, it doesn't seem all that out of character or random from him. Imagine characters like Lenny, Snake, or Comic Book Guy pitching this idea to Marge. It's not nearly as good. I suppose Apu's motivation to help them is a bit shaky. This argument that, without the church, he's gonna be robbed all the time. What, is the episode arguing that more secular societies are less moral? That implication isn't great, but in this small-scale Springfield environment, there is something funny about Springfield being that morally fragile. Organized religion is what is keeping the sea captain on the straight and narrow. But let's not get too in the nitty-gritty of Apu's motivations. We could just pretend like he's helping to bankroll their blackjack operation and is in it for the money. Sky Police continues the grand tradition of Marge fish-out-of-water stories, a format she seems to excel at. Throw her in the police force, the nuclear power plant, prison, wherever. You're gonna get something interesting. But it's even better when these other characters get taken along for the ride. Aside from Flanders, when are you ever gonna see these other folks in such a different setting? It's fun seeing the Lovejoys sitting at a blackjack table, or Sideshow Mel distracted by cocktail waitresses. They do a nice job of showing their hesitancy and unfamiliarity while trying to adapt to it. Helen Lovejoy can't run in and scold everyone. That's boring. We get to see her engage with something new and see a different side of all their personalities. And with the Lovejoys, oh boy do we. Naturally, Marge is grossed out by Helen's throuple invitation, but it's refreshing seeing all these characters let loose. The Lovejoys are the kind of repressed couple that would find these costumes liberating. Agnes Skinner is the kind who would want to take a bath in Benjamins. I like how Sideshow Mel's vice is his penchant for marshmallow smorgaritas. Mel is such a pure boy. Also, Ned Flanders is here. I do appreciate their decision to not push these characters too far. Like that they let loose a little and rationalize their beliefs at the end, but it's not like 2 casino trips totally corrupted them. They still feel like the characters we know and love. Sky Police is based on a true story of Christian card counters called The Church Team, which was chronicled in the documentary Holy Rollers. There's also a bit of that 2008 film 21 in here too, and slick Ocean's 11 editing, but it's mostly about the church team. Now, full disclosure, I'm not in the card counting world or anything. Everything I know about it is from random videos the YouTube algorithm recommended me for a while. But from my outsider perspective, I'd say that Sky Police is a decent beginner's introduction to the topic. They do a solid job of explaining how the count goes up and down with the accompanying graphics. And they get into the statistical and ethical angle, underlining how it's not illegal or cheating, and that it's fundamentally based on math. They do streamline and gloss over some of the details. Like, they don't explain at all where their initial bankroll comes from, how they raised money to make these big bets. Again, maybe Apu backed them. They also don't really show the ups and downs of card counting. When your edge of winning a given hand is like 55%, you could very easily just run bad and lose a fortune. Their risk of ruin percentage has to be gigantic. Whereas here, they show the team going to the same casino twice and immediately winning enough for their goal. Basically what happens is, God smiled upon them and they crushed the hell out of their expected value. So yeah, not exactly the most realistic portrayal. But them winning so effortlessly is a good story and does streamline the narrative. And, let's just be honest, we're going to need those extra minutes. In addition to the fun gambling heist, Sky Police manages to fit in a surprisingly deep examination of religion and the power of prayer. If you're gonna bring this crowd into a casino, you gotta touch on the religious themes. And Sky Police doesn't just use their faith as a point of conflict or guilt, it weaves this theme about prayer all the way through the episode. Homer and Bart literally open things, arguing with Marge about whether God really answers their prayers. And the story ends with Marge telling the church team that God didn't do any of this. I think this episode is special, because Marge is typically the most unwavering in her faith in the Simpson household. We see her in Homer the Heretic and She of Little Faith looking past any criticisms and holding firm in her beliefs. But Sky Police is one of the extremely rare instances of Marge actually questioning things. And it's not a simple conflict between her religious beliefs and gambling. This isn't just a Marge feels guilty about card counting story. No, they add in that extra layer with Homer. That they rightfully doubt that Homer could keep this secret, so they force her to keep him in the dark. You can understand how the combination of this sneaky scheme, plus lying to Homer, would make Marge truly question her actions. She's even getting the kids in on the lie when they catch her. She's constructing this web of lies. Bart and Lisa have absolutely nothing to do in this episode, and I appreciate how they're able to integrate their small role into Marge's character arc. Other characters wouldn't have a problem with juggling all these little deceptions, but Marge is exactly the kind of person this would not at. Her character arc is incredibly well done. The only thing they don't touch on is Marge's gambling problem, which is conveniently ignored. I am skeptical that someone with a history of gambling addiction would be an ideal person for this disciplined system they're running. They were wise to make Ned the high roller here. Hey, maybe this is the episode where Marge shakes it once and for all. Anyway, Homer is absolutely adorable in this episode. Sky Police is definitely in the running for the cutest Homer in series history award in the field of excellence. I love how fascinated he is by the review that Marge lies about doing. God, there are so many jokes about reviews. It's like Matt Selman had a pocket comedy set he'd been itching to do. Later, when kidnapped, he's lamenting, "Why did you give up on the review, Marge?" like an idiot. He is just so damn easygoing in this thing, it's unbelievable. Even in a casino backroom, he's so excited when they bring out the vice. There ain't nothing that can bring Homer's mood down. Also, this is a total aside, but I love this drawing of Suspicious Homer. I don't know what it is, or if I'm describing it well, but Homer's cute points are out the window in this thing. Now, the whole kidnapping angle is not all that realistic for card counting these days. You know, there are tales of the casino backroom and all those mob movies about what goes on there. Casinos could try to get card counters in their backroom. But from my understanding, these days, casinos are so corporate run that they don't want to risk a lawsuit. What they'll do is back off a card counter, saying they can't play blackjack anymore. Or else they'll trespass them and say they can never return. Maybe intimidate them by calling the cops. So this plot device does feel incongruous to the rest of the story they're going for. This is more of a Fat Tony thing. You could argue that of course you want to raise the stakes and do the old school casino shakedown. On the other hand, the conclusion of the story makes it clear that this is an extremely corporate casino. That's Nathan Fielder's character's whole shtick. They want to have it both ways. I guess this company is just super shady and doesn't care if The Simpsons is suing them or whatever. At the very least, it's a funny subversion. In general, the jokes in Sky Police are quite strong, especially for this era of The Simpsons. I talked about all the amazing Chief Wiggum stuff earlier, but even the main storyline has a ton of memorable gags. Remember, this is the episode that brings us the Saluki Strut. Go Southern Illinois! Apu brings plenty of snappy dialogue when explaining card counting and training them with unattractive but distracting cocktail waitresses. Don't forget the churchgoer's atheist strip club fantasy. Even Marge somehow saw that one. Homer gets some amazing one-liners, declaring night marriage rules. And when Marge is missing, says, "If anything happens to Marge, we'll be orphans." Also, an interesting snuggle calendar they have there. Probably my favorite joke is when Marge is like, "Well, we'll just have to ask the contractors for the money back." And they immediately cut to them laughing at her for like 30 seconds. My only disappointment in the jokes department is that they didn't give Nathan Fielder a better role. His matter-of-fact corporate shtick is amusing, how he rattles off these statistics and various department heads. But this doesn't seem like the best use of your Nathan Fielder. He has such a distinct brand of comedy, and The Simpsons doesn't quite capture it. Nathan Fielder is like the patron saint of dry people like myself, so maybe I'm just being picky. He did give our Homer back to us, after all. Now, I've been critical of the kidnapping plot device, but I have to admit that it does lead to a compelling final act. It's not one of those traditional Danger Act 3s either. They're centering it around a philosophical and religious angle, which fits well with the established themes. Reverend Lovejoy offers the suggestion that maybe Homer's suffering is part of God's plan. And now it's Marge arguing that God didn't do any of this, that he's not Sky Police, and that they enacted this blackjack scheme on their own. Not only is this a nice callback to The Simpsons' initial argument, but they snuck in a reference to the opener. Very nice. I really like how they turn things around on the Lovejoys, and the rest of the church team here. The idea that when an act of God strikes the church, they're proactive and formulate a plan to raise the money. But when the casino kidnaps Homer and they've already spent the money, now it's, oops, God's plan, nothing we can do about it. It's extremely hypocritical. This, combined with her guilt about lying to Homer, creates a fascinating point psychologically for Marge. Much like Lisa, she feels disillusioned by the church. However, Lisa seemed to have a stronger conscious sense of what she wanted, and actively searched elsewhere for it. Whereas Marge is more apt to look inward and work her way through it herself. So, she does the only thing she can think of. Dear Lord, I don't have anywhere to pray anymore, so I've come to your new temple. Here. I don't know if you watch us all the time, or if we're like an ant farm you got for your birthday and left on the shelf. And every once in a while, you check out what kind of crazy tunnels we've built. Maybe we've got it all wrong, praying for you to give us things we selfishly want. Maybe prayer is just taking a moment to tell yourself that there is good in the universe. And I'm going to sit here and focus on that good, and maybe, just maybe, I'll get my husband back. Definitely shades of Bart sells his soul right here, with that Act 3 prayer during the darkest hour. Maybe Marge and Bart really are that similar. Just like in that episode, we get that internal struggle, that profile of a character's uncertain beliefs. The conclusion is giving almost a secular humanist take on prayer, at least by Marge's traditionally devout standards. It's less about communicating directly with God, and more of a meditation about trying to connect with what is good in our world. It's like Marge is treating prayer as a form of psychological self-care. I like that this prayer demonstrates Marge's struggles with her faith while staying true to her core sense of optimism. This conclusion feels very true to her personality. Just like Bart sells his soul, this episode examines these existential questions without getting super dogmatic about specific religious views or suggesting the episode even has any of the answers. Marge literally asks Homer in the final scene if he still believes in God. Obviously, in this case, Marge sort of bungles her way into getting Homer back, with the person watching over her being casino management. The conclusion is funny, thought-provoking, and a compelling look into Marge's character. Not too shabby for a season 26 episode, huh? I admit, I always feel nervous about these overly gushy reviews of later Simpsons episodes. I always worry that people are gonna go watch this for the first time and walk away disappointed. I tricked you into watching a Modern Simpsons episode. Like, I'm not saying this is Last Exit to Springfield or Cape Fear levels of good. There are aspects that could definitely be improved. But I do think Sky Police is special. It provides something that 700 other Simpsons episodes don't. The gambling themes inform the religious themes, and vice versa. Neither works without the other, they're perfectly balanced. Or, to put it in gambling terms, Sky Police somehow hit every leg of its parlay. It's silly, topical, referential, philosophical, relationship-driven, and has a kick-ass theme song to boot. Sky Police is the total package.